set afire.
Drawing close to you, I give you all I am. I'm drawing near to you, and I surrender. I lift up holy hands. Set a fire. Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. You've drawn in close to me. My life is in your hands. You've drawn in near to me. My God, your love is where I am. Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God.
Sing, there's no place I'd rather be.
There's no place I'd rather be. There's no place I'd rather be. There's no place I'd rather be than here in your love, here in your love. There's no place I'd rather be. There's no place I'd rather be. There's no place I'd rather be than here in your love. Let's sing it again. No place. There's no place this love. Oh, it's moving all my mountains. It's perfect love. It's casting out my fear. How great this love. Oh, it welcomes me like family. And anywhere I go, it meets me there.
Well, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us here for our online worship experience for the River Franklin Park. I'm Pastor Mark Helsel. So glad that you're with us here. Whenever you're watching this, morning, afternoon, or evening, welcome. Hey, would you like this or subscribe to it, whatever's appropriate? Maybe share it with a friend who needs to hear this today. And we're so glad that you have joined us. Hey, I am actually down here at just the church is literally just up the hill, and we are here at a park called Acorn Park. You've probably never been here, but it's here in Franklin Park, and I don't know if you could tell this, but this park has seen better days. It is not in a great shape. It looks like it was at one point, but it is no longer, and that will kind of play into what we're talking about today. We are in week 2 of a series called Thriving, What Makes a Good Life? What makes a good life? Now, notice that I said not the good life, but a good life. And it's pretty obvious that right here, this park, it's not really thriving. We're standing on what used to be probably were some basketball courts here, but also tennis courts, and it is just in a state of disrepair. It is definitely not thriving. And so we're looking at how do we thrive in life? What makes a good life? What does that look like? And today we're talking about the goodness of friendship. The goodness of friendship. Last week we talked about the goodness of contentment and what it meant to live a life of contentment. And that was one piece in the mosaic of a good life. Today we're looking at part 2. And again, there are many things you could put in this picture of a good life. But the second one we're looking at is the goodness of friendship and how important friendships, really good friendships, are to having a good life. Now, there was an article that was published about a survey that was just recently completed, and the date that this article was published is what really makes what I'm about to read to you very significant. The date that it was actually published on the NPR website. They were reporting on this study that was done, was January 23rd, 2020. Now, anybody who has been alive and knows what's happened since January 2020 and into like February, March of 2020 knows that we entered into a global pandemic. And so these statistics that we're about to look at were done 6 months to a year before all of that happened. So how much more significant are they now? But this is a survey that was done about loneliness and friendship. And so remember, this is pre-pandemic. And so how much worse has this gotten since then? But in this NPR study, or not, they were the ones who reported on it, said 3 out of 5 Americans were lonely and lacking companionship. 3 out of 5 Americans were lonely or lacking companionship. Between the year 2018 and 2019, there was a 13% rise in loneliness. Can you imagine what it was in 2020 and 2021? 63% of men said they were lonely, and 58% of women. There is a loneliness epidemic in America. There are so many people without really good quality friendships. And so that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the goodness of friendship because there's so many people that are not thriving in their friendships. J.D. Greer, a pastor, said it this way. He said, "Show me your friends and I will show you your future." Show me your friends and I will show you your future. Now, there's a ton of things we could talk about friendship today, but I want to focus on one thing in particular, and that is where friendships can take us. The journey that friendships open us up to, good friendships, where those friendships can actually take us in life, towards a thriving life. And I want to share with you just a couple things, throw in some scriptures that will help us see kind of the journey that good friendships can take us on, and where friendships take us and how they take us into our future. The first thing is this, is that friendships can take us to a more spiritual place in our life. Friendships and building friendships can take us to a deeper faith. They can take us to a more spiritual place in our life. In 1 Thessalonians, the Apostle Paul writes it this way. He says, "Therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing." And so he calls us to build each other up in the faith. Having those strong friendships in our life can build up our faith and can take us to a deeper spiritual place. Think about this. Jesus called the disciples not his servants, but his friends. And so think about where the friendships that the disciples had with Jesus, think about where their friendship with him took them. It took them to a way deeper spiritual place, way higher spiritual place. They literally went further up and further in their relationship with God. And that's where good friendships can take us. They can take us to a more spiritual place, a deeper faith. The second thing is this. Friendships, these quality, deep friendships, can take us to a more sacrificial place where we learn through our friendships to give to others. We learn how to be a good friend. We learn how to live out the life that Jesus has called us to. Having good quality friendships makes us more sacrificial. Proverbs 18:24, and Proverbs is filled with things about friendships. Proverbs says this, "A man who has friends must be a friend, but there is a friend who stays nearer than a brother." Did you catch that? What Solomon wrote in Proverbs? A man who has friends must be a friend. Having good friends forces you to really be a good friend. It means you have to put in time. It means you have to put in effort. And it means you have to put in sacrifice. Zig Ziglar, who I remember when I started out in ministry, he was like this get organized guru. He said it this way. He says, if you're looking for a friend, you are going to find they are very scarce. But if you go out to be a friend, you will find them everywhere. And so friendships can take us to a more sacrificial place. And friendships can also take us to a more solid place in our life where we have a good foundation and we have a good support system in our life. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon writes these words. You often hear them at weddings, but they so apply to friendships. It says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up." It's talking about friendships. It's the original commercial for "I've fallen and I can't get up." There's nobody to help this person up who has no deep friendships. And Ecclesiastes says that's a pitiful place to be. And so friendships can take us to a more solid place where we feel like we have a better support system and a better foundation in our life for the tough times. And then friendships also can take us to a more scenic place. We will see things that we cannot see on our own. See, that's part of the journey that friendship can take us on. It can take us into new experiences and new things that we never ever would have done on our own, or push us to challenge ourselves to go new places and to see new things. And those experiences bring growth into our life. Now, those experiences also, that new scenic place, it isn't always easy stuff either. Sometimes friends can open us up to ways that we need to go to new places in our life that are scenic but are tough too. Like there are things that we need to see about ourselves that we can't see on our own. We all have blind spots. And good friends help us reach that place where we can have an accurate picture of ourselves. This is played out in the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 5 through 6. It says this: better is open rebuke than hidden love. Listen to this. Wounds from a friend can be trusted. You get that? Wounds from a friend. Sometimes our friends will say things to us because they love us that will wound us, but help us to grow where we need to grow. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. See, an enemy will flatter you. An enemy won't tell you the truth, but a friend will truly tell you, and it'll feel like a wound, but it'll help you go to a better place. It'll help you go to a more scenic place. You know, it's never too late in your life to go in a new direction with friends, to have better friends, because that friend you make will always take you to a new place, because that's what friendships do. They have the power to take us to all of these new places. And a thriving life, if you want to have a thriving life, you will embrace the potential and the power of friendships. Many of you know that last summer I lost my soccer coach, who was my college soccer coach, who died in a horrific accident. And he was just a young man. He used to tell our soccer team a verse that has stuck with me over these years, as he challenged our soccer team to become friends and to invest in each other's life. It came from Proverbs 27:17, and it goes like this. It goes, as iron sharpens iron, so one man's life sharpens another. See, he was challenging us to sharpen each other through our commitment to each other, to our friendship with each other, to sharpen each other, to be the best that we can be. That's what good quality friendships do. They help people thrive. How are your friendships? Do you have iron? Do you have, as one man sharpens another, iron sharpens iron? Do you have those kind of relationships in your life that are sharpening you? Do you have those kind of friendships in your life? I want to show you this video, and we'll come back with the second part of our message. But as you watch this, think about the quality of your friendships. Are they taking you to a more solid place, a more scenic place? Are they taking you to a more spiritual place and a more sacrificial place in your life? We'll be back in a moment.
It begins with openness, the willingness to come alongside someone else, to pour out, care, invest. It's about sharing the journey, doing life together, growing, forging, becoming. It's about selflessness, caring enough to walk through the valley, even when it's painful, to love people as Christ has loved us. It's rejoicing when they rejoice, hurting when they hurt, being a hand, an encourager, a friend. We were not created to wander alone. For as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another.
Well, welcome back. We also know that if we've ever built friendships in our life, we also know that yes, we have to embrace the potential and the power of friendships, but friendships can take us to a better place, or they can take us to a worse place. That truth is said over in Scripture many times, but in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 24, the writer of Proverbs says, "One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin." Or you've heard that verse, bad company corrupts good character. That's also in the Scripture, and we know the power of really bad friends. See, friends can not make us more spiritual, but can actually make us more sinful. Or friends, instead of making us more sacrificial, can make us more selfish. Or friends, instead of making our life feel more solid, can make it more shaky. Or instead of them making our life more scenic and growing, they can make us feel stuck. And people who feel stuck, I think people who are kind of in that survey that we started out with, people who feel stuck, they might have friends that aren't going anywhere. There's just no depth to their friendships, or they just have no friends. And so as you think about your friendships, I encourage you to think about the quality of them. Now, J.D. Greear, who gave us that quote at the beginning, who said, "Show me your friends and I'll show you your future," he also talked about friends in his own life, and he talked about how he has kind of 3 concentric circles of friendships in his life. The most innermost circle of those 3 concentric circles is what he called the circle of intimacy. And he said, you probably have 3 or 4 people who profoundly shape you. And so he says, it's great to have 3 or 4 friends on that very inner circle of your friendships who are in this very intimate place in your life, and they have profoundly shaped your life. And he says that all of those friends, and if you're watching this as a Christian, that all of those friends should be fellow Christians. The people who get to profoundly shape your life, they should all be Christians. And then the next circle, he says you have a few more people in that. He calls that the circle of influence. You influence them, they influence you. And maybe that's a group of 5 to 6, 7 people. And he says those people should be mostly believers who get to have influence on your life. And then the largest circle he called the circle of care. You care for them, they care for you, and you should have both believers and non-followers of Christ in that circle. So think about your friendships. Do you have a core group, an innermost circle, an intimate group that have profoundly shaped you and you are shaping them? Do you have a circle of influence of more people who have influence on you and you have influence on them? And then a circle of care, people that you care about. They're not your closest friends, and they're not at the innermost place of your life, and they might not even be believers. In fact, I think God calls us to care for and have friendships with people who are not believers. See, some people stop making friends at some point in their life. They feel like they have all the friends that they need. But I want to ask you today, do you have room for another friend who might take you in new places, might take you on a better journey, or another level of your story, another chapter in your journey and theirs? And this is generational, both younger and older. Building relationships and friendships with different generations. Intergenerational relationships keep you young if you're an old person, and keep you wise if you're a young person, and they help you mature. If you're an older person and you think you've made all the friends you need, I want to invite you and challenge you to live in such a way that when you die, that your funeral is packed with younger people. And not just people that are in your family, but I'm talking about relationships that you intentionally built with younger people. And if you're a young person watching this, I want to challenge you to make friends with people who still have a flip phone. They're still on their flip phone. They're still on their BlackBerry. Or better yet, make friends with somebody who used a rotary phone for most of their life. If you want to make a friend across generations, make one with somebody who used a rotary phone. Do you ever see those videos where they put a rotary phone in front of a couple teenagers? They have no clue what to do with it. But we can make friendships intergenerationally that could have lasting impact on our life. So I want to close by taking you to a story that I think shows you this in the scripture. And it's in Luke chapter 24. And this is shortly after the death of Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus. And it has become a famous story that we often refer to as the road to Emmaus. But in Luke chapter 24, verse 13, this is what it says. It says, now that same day, that's the day of Jesus' resurrection, the same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. So get the picture. There are two friends who were in Jerusalem, and I actually believe from reading the text that they were actually disciples of Jesus, followers of Jesus, not just the ones, the 12, but were additional followers of Jesus. And they are traveling from Jerusalem to Emmaus, which is about a 7-mile journey. And so they're on a journey together. And it says they were talking with each other about everything that had happened. What is that? They're talking about the events of Jesus' death and his resurrection. So they're talking together as friends about spiritual things, about deep things. They're not just talking about sports or the weather, but they're talking about real things that really matter. As they talked and discussed these things with each other, Jesus himself came up and walked along with them. And so they welcome in a potential new friend, because it says they were kept from recognizing him. So however that happens, and I think in this passage you'll see some of the playfulness of God, some of the friendliness of God. But here is the resurrected Jesus now walking with two people that should have recognized him but didn't, but they welcome in this new person for the journey, and they are going to grow because of it. They have open arms and they welcome someone else for the journey. They're eager to make a new friend. What about you? And so it says they were kept from recognizing him. He asked them, what are you discussing together as you walk along? And then they stood still. They stopped, their faces downcast. And one of them, named Cleopas, asked him, are you the only one visiting Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened here in these days? And I love Jesus' response. They said, hey buddy, you don't know what's going on? You don't know what's happened in Jerusalem? You don't get it? And he says these words, what things? So Jesus' playfulness, he says to them, what things? The resurrected Jesus is just playing with them, pulling out of them the story that they have to tell. And he says, what things? And they answer, about Jesus of Nazareth, they replied. He was a prophet, powerful in word and deed before God and all the people. The chief priests and our rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel. And what is more, it is the third day since all of this took place. In addition, some of our women amazed us, and they went to the tomb early this morning, but did not find his body. They came and told us that they had seen a vision of angels who said he was alive. Then some of our companions went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but they did not see Jesus. And he said to them, how foolish you are and how slow to believe all the prophets have spoken. So he speaks to them and he says, come on, didn't you listen? Didn't you listen to all the things that the prophets have said and have spoken? And he said, did not the Messiah have to suffer these things and then enter his glory? And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself. Again, spiritual conversations. friendships made of spiritual conversation. And then it goes on and it says, as they approached the village to which they were going, Jesus continued on as if he were going farther. Again, the playfulness of Jesus, who is kind of being a little coy and like, I'm going to pretend I'm going a little further, but what I really want to do is stay here and talk to you. And they urged him strongly, stay with us, for it's nearly evening and the day is almost over. Again, inviting him in. So he went in to stay with them. And when he was at the table with them, he took bread, gave thanks, and he broke it and began to give it to them. And then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he disappeared from their sight. They asked each other, were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road and opened the scriptures to us? I love that verse. Were not our hearts burning on fire as he walked with us on our journey and he opened the scriptures to us? Jesus is the friend that we need, who opens up the scriptures for us. And when we walk with him, our hearts are burning on the inside. When we walk with other believers, when we walk with other Christian friends, when we take the time to invest in those friendships, our hearts grow. Our hearts will be on fire. Our hearts will be blessed by these close friendships built around Jesus. That's why we push community so much here at our church, to build those kind of friendships with each other. That's why your presence with each other is so important. So let me ask you this to close. Are you making room for new friends in your life? Are you putting in the time, the effort? Have you opened your heart to make new friends? Are your friendships having a positive or negative effect on your life? Because as we said at the beginning, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. My prayer for you is that your future is one of growth. Your future is one where your heart is burning. So thankful for the friendship that you not only have with Jesus, but you have with his people. And those friendships are expanding your life in the ways that they were meant to do. That's my prayer for you. I hope that you are blessed with these amazing friendships. And if you are in friendships that aren't life-giving, I pray that you would have the strength to get out of them and to move into better relationships. So God bless you. And hey, maybe head down to a playground and make some new friends and live a thriving life. Take care.